All right. All right. Very good. All right, my camera is off. Let me share my screen here. So we're all not. So we all gonna become distracted by my handsomeness. Okay. All right. So we're going to be talking about analyzing literary discourse communities. All right. In today's um, class discussion, our objectives, okay, are to make you all be able to understand discourse communities, identify particular literary movements, develop research skills, evaluate literary discourse communities, and synthesize scholarly sources. Okay, so this is going to build on our fundamental writing and inquiry skills that we have been practicing. All right, so let's get started. So, first thing we must talk about is what an actual literary discourse community is. And first of all, this is not in presentation mode. So let's put that in presentation mode. Very good. Can y'all see? Okay. Good. Making progress. All right. So first thing we have to do is define what a discourse community is. And I know in the beginning I said literary discourse community, but we have to define discourse community first. All right. And so we'll look up what discourse community is, and according to John Swell, a discourse community is pretty much a community that discusses things. All right, and the criteria that John Swells uses is as following. So he says, number one, a discourse community has a broad, agreed upon set of common public goals. All right. So us being in this class, we are a discourse community. The goal is to what? Well, if we go back to our objectives, we see that our goal is to what? Understand discourse communities, identify literary movements, develop research skills, evaluate literary discourse communities, and synthesize the scholarly sources that we have found in our research. All right. So number one, we have a broadly agreed upon set of common public goals. Number two, it has a mechanism of intercommunication among members. All right. So us being on this online platform, we are currently using Teams. Teams is our mechanism of intercommunication among members, along with any of the group chats that we use or emails to facilitate our conversations. All right. Number three, a discourse community uses its participatory mechanism to provide information and feedback. What is that saying? Essentially, a discourse community just uses the mechanism, so teams, to provide information and feedback. Feedback on what? Whatever um the intercommunication among the members is or is. Yeah, whatever whatever the thing is that is being discussed among the members, all right? Providing information about that thing and giving feedback about that thing. So for us, that would be uh writing, your writing, okay? Your assignments, your questions, your comments, your concerns, your emotional outbursts, your worry, all of that, all right? Now, let's move on. Number four, uses one or more genres to communicate. All right. So one or more genres. Remember, we in the beginning we talked about critical reading, right, and reading strategies, and then being able to recognize different genres. And here we have academic writing as a specific genre. All right, to communicate. So when we communicate, um, let's say we're sharing essays and things like that within academic writing, well, we understand that we're looking for certain elements like thesis statements and topic sentences, introductions, conclusions, body pair, all those things. So whenever we're discussing that, or maybe we're discussing things that pertain to academic writing, such as requirements for writing, what type of formatting style that you have to use, length of assignments, all right, well, no, I'm not going to jump ahead and get to the terminology, but anyways, so yeah, certain requirements that might be discussed. So it's important to know that this course community uses one, or it may have a multiplicity of genres that it uses to communicate. All right. So number 5, it also has acquired a specific lexis or terminology. All right. So everyone in here, we are in a different field. All right. Well, not in a different field, but we are in a what I call a respective field. All right. So we have some nursing students, we have some might be English students, we have some mechanics, we have what else we have IT, we have engineers. All right. So we have a vast array of individuals studying different things. All right. Now, in your respective fields, there is a specific language to use. All right. That is familiar between every member in that field. So, right now, number 1, we are familiar with the terminology, with what we call the rhetoric of writing and inquiry. All right. So, like I said, thesis statements, topic sentences, diction, syntax, okay, or outline, well, organization, formatting, things of that nature. All right, we are familiar with that terminology because we're in this course. If you move to the next another course like IT or something, they will have different terminology that you will use. So now let's move on to number 6. It has a threshold level of member knowledge and communication proficiency. Okay, so I'll use this example. uh, when you go to the military, everyone has to go through basic training. Unless you go through officer training or officer candidate school, whatever it's called, then you go to an officer's basic training. But if you are a enlisted member, then you have to go through basic training. Basic training is nothing more than saying these people are trained at this level for sure. All right. So just like when you come in here to community college, you have a specific level of education. Everyone in here has a high school diploma. So it's letting us know these people are trained at this specific level. Why? Because you have completed that level of member knowledge and communication proficiency, right? When you pass this course, if you have to take the 112 course, all right, then on your transcript, guess what? You'll have both courses. And whoever reads the transcript will know, okay, these people are at this threshold level of member knowledge and communication. What's that word? Proficiency. All right. Same root word as what? Professional. Young professionals operate in what? Proficiency. Do we understand that? Do we see that? All right. So now that we have defined discourse community, let's move on to specific types of discourse community because they're all different types. All right. We have you can have film communities and folklore communities and religious communities and medical communities and all these and you have engineers and who all have different common goals, right? Intercommunication among members, participatory mechanism to provide information and feedback, all right? Genres, specifically devout to maintaining that discourse community, right? Specific terminology, and then what? A threshold level of member knowledge and communication proficiency. So let's move on. All right. Today, I'm going to be using this example of literary movements. All right. Why do I say literary movements? Because in the literary movements, there are what? Discourse communities or literary discourse communities. Okay. Uh, First, let's start off with the Native American literary movement. Okay. This is, well, originally Native American movements are really founded upon oral tradition until we get to Reverend Samson Occam. Okay. He is part of the Mohegan Nation. All right. And he's the first one to publish writing in English. Okay, so he's one of the first ones, all right. And then we move also we move down to the 1960s when we really see the Native American Renaissance start to thrive and increase its writings and works. All right, but let's move on to the colonial. Let's stay in the time frame. All right, so colonial literature. All right. In between the 1600s to 1700s, it really discussed our historical context. All right. So we have a lot of religious communities and therefore a lot of religious writings. All right. This is where we get the idea of, well, this is where we get the Puritans and anti-religious writings from, John Smith and Roger Williams. All right. This idea of good and bad. All right. And if we go a little further down, in history or further up, whatever one you want to say. We get enlightenment and revolution. All right, in the 1700s. All right, this is a very heavily philosophical and political community. All right, or communities. All right, that advocate on behalf of the people. Right, specific independence specifically and women. All right, with writers such as Thomas Paine and Alexander Hamilton. Alexander Hamilton. Anybody ever seen that play? It's okay if you haven't, you should. All right, so it's important to note these communities because these communities started movement. All right, I think it's a popular saying. If I have it wrong, then someone let me know. But art imitates life, right? And when we talk about literary works, these are imitations of life or ways to move the needle or push the needle in life to get things done. All right, so let's look at another community called the American Gothic community. And this is a this movement is still alive. It's still prevalent. All right, because we have a Gothic community with Edgar Allan Poe. His literature is famous. We have a lot of film work that is straight from his they're straight from his writings. All right, they're adaptations. And then we have Stephen King and Washington Irving, Legend of Sleeping Hollow. Things that we authors we're familiar with and works that we're familiar with. Very good. All right, very good. All right. Then we also move on to our contemporary and postmodern literature in the 1950s. I know that's a big jump. You're saying, hey, what's between the 1800s and 1950s? Well, we'll go there. Let's just finish it. All right. We have our counterculture communities. All right. Such as our Beat Generation, our Black Arts Movement, featuring Bob Kaufman, Amiri Baraka, or AKA Leroy Jones. These are literary movements that push back against the political or societal culture at the time. Okay, and so their writings reflect this. All right, so let's if you're asking, okay, what came between these American Gothics and contemporary and postmodern literature, where we have different types of literature. We have romanticism, transcendentalism, we have realism, naturalism, modernism. It's all different types. All right, so but don't get so caught up in what happened versus the communities and their writings, okay? And what came about because of their writings, which is the important part about the community is that it produces something, and that's what we're looking for. So let's move on. All right, with your assignment. So after learning these things and after seeing uh well, we really didn't. Well, let's go back. One thing I want you to understand is that these writings, these authors, these communities were, yes, they were artistic, but they were revolutionary and they were highly intellectual in the way they operated. All right. So after understanding this, what I want you to do is analyze a literary discourse community of your choosing. Okay. And I want you to use scholarly sources. So that means you're going to have to do some research. Is how we're going to develop those research skills, like our objectives declared. Okay. And then two, you're going to identify what the themes, the goals, the concepts, the person or persons involved in that community. All right. So you're going to tell me about the characteristics of that community. All right. And then you're going to discuss those characteristics, those values, the beliefs held by those individuals. Are they a cultural group? Are they a political group? Are they philosophical? All right. In the way that they speak and do things. Right. And then number four, identify how and why these communities develop and disseminate information. All right. Specifically, Lord have mercy. Specifically, what genre? All right. So tell me what is the genre of the writing. All right. And then number 5, engage in critical thinking by what? Evaluating the effectiveness and impact of the community. Don't get confused by all the jargon in number 5. All I'm asking you to do is give your opinion about that community. Are they still relevant? Were they not saying were they productive, but did they produce something that shifted the culture? All right, that shifted society in any manner. So evaluate it. Are they still relevant? Are they still current? All right, if they evolve into something else, something bigger, what did they evolve into? Tell me about the today. All right, that's all number 5 is. Okay, so any questions, comments, concerns? All right, no, let's move on. All right, next thing I want you to do is make sure that your essay format is correct and it follows these requirements. Must be double spaced, must have a minimum of 4 pages, okay? A minimum of 3 scholarly sources and formatted according to MLA or APA guidelines. I'll let you have some flexibility between MLA and APA so that you're familiar with yourself. I mean, not with yourself, but well, yeah, please be familiar with yourself. But that's so that you're familiar with the writing. All right. Now, we understand that. Sure. Very good. All right. Here's some resources that you can use to pull out, upload this PowerPoint on Blackboard, and then we will be all good to go for the day. Okay. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Emotional outburst. No? Very good. All right. You may begin researching. If you have any questions, I will be here. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Time to start 7:50. 7:33. I know this video only take 50 minutes. How long is this video? You recording though?